What's up, music fans? My name's Jackson, and today is the day. I'm finally reacting to the Black Album by Jay-Z. It's been a long time coming. I've had probably the most requests out of anybody to do this record, and I feel like the Teenager React series has been building up to a climax like this. This will be my fourth Jay-Z reaction, yet this one just kind of feels different. There are so many iconic songs from Jay on this record, so many that I've heard of, a couple produced by Kanye, but actually none that I've heard before. I'm incredibly excited to hear them for the first time. You know, with Jay, I feel like for the people that didn't grow up listening to his music, myself being a prime example, you kind of know how iconic he is, how much of a figure Jay is in the hip-hop community, but also just as a celebrity. But you don't realize how great of a rapper this guy actually is. So listening to the stuff on Reasonable Doubt, it was really eye-opening for me to actually understand just what makes him so special, and I really have enjoyed that experience. Obviously, since I first did that video, it was one of my first ones. I've had a ton of requests to do this album, so I hope you're all happy. I'm super excited to hear this. Let's get into it. Track 1 is going to be Interlude.
And the other night when I was researching what we're going to be discussing today, I came across a passage that I think he too will pass on his legacy through the seeds that drops to the ground. As the wind carries these seeds throughout the land and they take root.
Little interesting production there. I looked at Just Blaze on the production. Looks like Jay assembled quite a team of producers for this record. Just a simple loop of what sounded like Mario getting the power-up in one of his OG games. Really liked that. If they're going towards a more 8-bit style of production for this record, I'm definitely here for it. Track 2 is, from what I know, an iconic song for Jay, which is December 4th.
Sean Carter was born December 4th, weighing in at 10 pounds, 8 ounces. He was the last of my 4 children, the only one who didn't.
They say they never really miss you till you dead or you gone. So on that note, I'm leaving after the song. So you ain't gotta feel no way about Jay so long. But at least let me tell you why I'm this way. Hold on. Who was conceived by Gloria Carter and Agnes Reeves? This wasn't purpose, I ain't perfect, I can't. But I feel worthless cause my shirts wasn't matching my gear. Now I'm scratching the surface cause what's buried under there was a kid torn apart, wasn't hot, disappeared. I went to school, got good grades, could be hate when I wanted. But I had demons deep inside that were raised when confronted. Hold on.
Sean was a very shy child growing up. He was into sports, and a funny story is, I noticed the change in him when me and my husband broke up.
Now all the teachers couldn't reach me and my mama couldn't beat me hard enough to match the pain of my pop not seeing me. So, with that stain in my membrane,
damn.
On my pimp game, fuck the world, my defense came. And the drought to define a man. When the well dries up, you learn to work the water without work the thirst till you die. Yep. And niggas get tied up for product. The little brothers bring fingers get cut up to show mothers they really got them.
Wow, okay, so a completely other end in terms of the quality of production there. Not to say the production on the intro was bad, but just the kind of aesthetic of it was different. It sounded like a really triumphant, really happy ending-esque instrumental. It sounded like the thing that they would walk down the aisle to after the rebels destroyed the Death Star or something. Obviously a celebratory track of Jay's upbringing, his intro to the game, and just where he is now. And I really enjoyed it. The song structure felt similar to the stuff you would hear on Reasonable Doubt, and I really liked what he was saying. It was a bit crude, even for Jay's standards, of talking about his dad being gone and his teachers, and I really like hearing that from him. Track 3, What More Can I Say?
Brooklyn, stand up. Never been a nigga this good, but it's long, this hood, or this pop, this hot, or this strong, with so many different flows. This one's for this song, this one I switch up, this one will get rid up. These fucks too lazy to make up shit, they crazy, they don't. They try to reverse the outcome, I'm like, huh? I'm not a writer, I'm a writer for myself and others. I say a big verse, I'm only bigging up my brother. Big enough, I'm that thorough. Plus I know my own flow is foolish. So the rings and things, sing them out, bring them out. It's hard to yell when the barrel's in your mouth. And I don't wear jerseys, I'm 30 plus. Give me a crisp pair of jeans, nigga, button up. Shots on my feet, make a sight complete. Vividly what these streets did to me. So picture me, let these clowns nitpicking me. Paint me like a pickaninny. I would literally kiss TT in the forehead. Tell her please forgive me to squeeze into your forehead. I'm not the one to score points off.
Another really good song. I didn't enjoy it quite as much as December 4th just because it felt a bit less personal with similar subject matter. But I actually might have enjoyed the production more on the song. I was pretty interested in kind of the way that the loop sounded like a shotgun hitting you with the ba-ba-ba-na, and then it kind of just descends into these little circulating snares, a little na-na-na, na-na-na. It actually sounded extremely similar to the ones that Kanye used on Dark Fantasy, the intro to his magnum opus album. So it was nice to hear a familiar sound like that, and I thought it did a nice job showcasing Jay's lyrics, which, like I said, weren't quite as good or hard-hitting as the second song, but I still enjoyed them. It's still the Jay-Z that we know and love, and I think that's good for that song.
Thank you, far too kind.
Oh.
Fresher than home, riddle me that.
Hey.
Y'all know where I'm lyrically at. Can't none of y'all mirror me back. Yeah, hear me rap, it's like hand G rapping his prime. I'm young H.O., raps Grateful Dead. That can take over the globe, now break bread. I'm in Boeing Jets, Global Express. Out the country, but the blueberries still connect. Now I need y'all to roll. What the hell are you waiting for? Look what you made me do. Look what I made for you. Knew if I pay my dues, how will they pay you?
Yeah, I mean, another really good song. I see that this is one of the more popular ones on the record. I will say, I don't always appreciate imagery for imagery's sake, and let me explain that a bit. He's setting up this idea of he's on stage, he's performing, and people just want him to come back and come back and come back on the idea of an encore. And I guess it's a creative way to flex on everybody, which is a pretty big theme in most of Jay's music, but I don't really feel like it's that well realized or utilized for any reason other than, again, for imagery's sake. But I love the creative flows that he always brings to us. I love when he kind of just broke his bar in the middle of the line and just kind of said, I'm not budging. But I'm getting a bit tired of the lack of hooks here. I could really use one. The instrumentals seem to be picking up Jay's slack melodically, but I'm definitely enjoying these so far. It's just running a bit stale, so hopefully we can get a change of pace here. Oh. Shoot back, gotta keep a peace like a boot ass. I ain't a new jack, nobody gon' Wesley snipe me. It's less than likely. Move back, whatever I like. Now just change clothes. No, I stay fresh to better water from the projects, and I'ma take you to the top of the globe. Let's exchange. Bring it back. Young Hope in the house is so necessary. No bra with that blouse, that's so necessary. Hey.
No panties and jeans, that's so necessary. Yeah, sexy. Turn your radio up.
So, more upbeat production, but this time a little bit less triumphant, a bit more, well, sexy. Obviously, considering the subject matter, we've now transitioned from the I'm on top of the world subject matter to the girls. We're probably going to hear Hustler at some point, but I think it's funny how there's less of that Hustler attitude. When you listen to Reasonable Doubt, there's way more of that subject matter, obviously, because Jay wasn't the huge celebrity, the really rich man that he is in 2003. And I love that about him is that he's so authentic that it's hard for him to put himself in those shoes as often, because he's not living that lifestyle as much anymore. In terms of subject matter and lyrics here, there's not much for me to talk about. You guys heard them, you know what it's talking about. I liked the cleverness of some of his bars, but other than that, I'm listening to this song mostly for production and just how good it sounds on the ears. Track 6 is Dirt Off Your Shoulder, another popular one. Oh.
Turn the music up in the headphones. Turn up your shoulders. I'm probably you with the y'all. Probably be locked by the phones. Trying to hustle some bangs. That go with the Porsche. Feeling no remorse. Hope the track that I'm making. But all the hustlers, they love it just to see one of us making.
Hey.
To the top of the butter, you gotta get that. Turn up your shoulder, you gotta get that. Turn up your shoulder, you gotta get that. Turn up your shoulder, you hold me hoping black. Them niggas scared of that black. I dropped that black album, then I'm back. Out here, that's the best rapper alive. Nigga, X about me from get that. Turn up your shoulder, you gotta dirt off your shoulders.
I actually liked the subject matter the most out of these collection of 6 songs so far, which is why it's unfortunate that in terms of how it sounds, I'm not feeling it as much. Obviously I liked it, I don't think it's a skip or anything, but I thought the really rough beat, the really blunt drums didn't do a great job of adding extra bounce to Jay's voice. And I think the whole, brush the dirt off your shoulder, meaning these people who aren't helping you in life, get rid of them, close your circle in, I think it's done a bit corny here. And honestly, I think the hook is what makes this song really fall short. The verses are pretty good, but unfortunately when that chorus kicks in, it doesn't offer much. Track 7 is Threat.
Yo, what's up, pimp? This threat. Put that knife in you. Take a little bit of life from you. Am I frightening you? Shall I continue? I put the gun to you. I let it sing you a song. I let it hum to you. The other one sing along. Now it's a duet. When you check out the technique from the 2 texts, and I don't need 2 lips. I put a price on your head. The whole hood will want you. You're starting to look like bread. I send them boys at you. I be talking about fast, nigga. Them body snatching. Nigga, you heard what I said. I'll make a way for you to five and them change your face, so the bullets change all that for you. Y'all niggas is tough.
Hey.
Y'all garages and bullets, please don't make me pop it in your up.
Yeah, really like that one. The sinister piano loop along with the really fast-paced drum line, incredible. Jay's rapping is so much more intense on this song. It brought back that attitude that I love. And I think it's indicative of how great Reasonable Doubt is that this is the first song from this album that I feel like I could place with those songs. It just felt like a different version of Jay on this track, and I can't really explain it much. Maybe it was subject matter, the production, or his delivery, but despite being one of the least popular songs on this record, I loved it. Track 8 is Moment of Clarity. Whew.
Thank God for granting me this moment of clarity, this moment of honesty. The world will feel my truth, hard not lifetime. I give for the curse. I gave you volume, act the volume on my words, so you can feel my truth. I build a beast, I can't feel my shoe. Blueprint beginning to that black album ending. Listen close, you hear what I'm about. Nigga, feel my truth. Music business hate me, cause me ain't make me.
Oh, loved that production. Another little gritty song, much more sinister sounding one. I loved the alternating violin strings. They did an incredible job making this sound intense. I liked the progression of him talking about the dynasty, and then now it leads into the Black Album. I don't have much more to say than that. I mean, it was pretty much the same stuff we've been hearing the entire record, just a bit different production, and Jay with an incredibly dark delivery. Track 9, 99 Problems. What the heck? Oh my gosh. Understand the intelligence that Jay-Z has. In my rear view mirror is the motherfucking law. Got 2 choices, y'all. Pull over the car or bounce on the devil, put the pedal to the floor. I ain't trying to see how they chase with Jake. Plus I got a few dollars I can fight the case. So I can mind read it, sir, I don't know. Am I under arrest or should I guess some more? Well, you was doing 55 in the 54. Step out of the car, you carrying a weapon on you, I know a lot of you are. I ain't stepping out of shit, all my papers legit. Wow, okay. I mean, that beat was just ridiculous. The really rough, the mixing on that was pretty old school. I actually liked it though. And then Jay proceeds to detail the 99 problems that takes place in his life, but obviously not the girls. It's an interesting song idea. I do think that the hook falls flat yet again, which is a big con with this record so far, but I loved the subject matter and the delivery for the first time. Track 10 will be another interlude. Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Ho. H to the OV. I used to move snowflakes by the OZ. On the ROC. Ho. Fresh out the frying pan into the fire. I be the music man's #1 supplier. Thing ain't lie. I done came through the block and everything that's fly. I'm like Che Guevara with bling on. I'm complex. I ain't as if I am a different man. And I can blame my environment, but ain't no reason why I be buying expensive change. Hope you don't think you
the abusers, niggas getting high within the game.
That was my favorite, easily. So this is the legendary public service announcement that I've heard so much about. It's weird because it's listed as interlude here, but I've heard so much about this song. I think, honestly, and I hate to be this critical of the other songs so far, but for the first time, Jay sounds really inspired on this song. And man, Just Blaze is just an incredible producer. The way that he changed his voice on each of the interludes is ridiculous. He sounds way more feminine the second time, and I'm here for it. And I think just the way Jay opens up his verses is what made him so well known in terms of his flow. Just how he opens it up as, let me reintroduce myself, I'm Hove. And it's not necessarily the words, but just the idea of doing that and kind of having an intro to your verses instead of just jumping right in with that conversational flow. I think that's something that Jay-Z has a trademark on. Easily my favorite song so far. Justify My Thug is going to be track 11. Let's get into it.
5, 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, rock. 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, the party about to pop. Then I never ask for nothing, I don't demand it myself. Honesty, loyalty, friends, and then wealth. Yeah, we say it 949, we both lose our sight. The two wrongs don't make it right. But when you've been wrong and you know all along that it's just one life, all the grinning and the laughs. When you play the game of life and the win ain't in the bag. Your options is none, independence all you have. Or the block, niggas standing tight as lemons on the app.
Dude, the rhyme scheme on that third verse was crazy. If you split his bars in half, the first half of the verse he's rhyming both the ending of the first half of his bar and the second half of his bar, line for line. And then I love how he uses ad-libs to finish off the bars instead of just staying on the mic completely. It makes it sound really multi-dimensional. And then obviously just some of the lyrics on this song. I love they say an eye for an eye, we both lose our sight, and two wrongs don't make a right. Incredible. And then just the really creepy kind of like tweezer sounds in the background. I don't even know what that was. I'm not going to think about it to make an informed decision. And then just a really blunt beat that I thought worked way better than the other ones that I've seen on this album so far. This is going to be probably my second favorite song. Track 12 is Lucifer. Oh, Kanye produced this? Oh.
So got a righteous cause for sending them a murder me. So I gotta murder them first. Emergency. Doctors performing procedures. Jesus. I ain't trying to be facetious. But rigid or permanent hiatus as I skate in the Maybach Benz.
Oh my gosh.
Pumping brown sugar by D'Angelo in Los Angeles. Like an evangelist. How can it make your ashes after they cremate you bastards? Hope you've been reading your song.
Yeah.
Chapters. Paying your time being good captains. I'm coming.
Oh.
The meek shall inherit the earth till that time is on and popping. Church. Like Don Bishop.
Oh my gosh.
The fucking soul will give you the Holy Ghost. Please, I'll leave you with somebody's cathedral with stunting services. The Black Album, second verse is like devil's pie. Say some dessert for us. Man, I gotta get my soul right. I gotta get these devils out my life. These cowards gonna make a nigga ride. And if you feel in my heart that I long for revenge, please blame it on the sun of the morning. Thanks again.
Oh my.
Now tuned into the motherfucking greatest.
Hold on. Oh Jesus. Oh, the song started playing there. Sorry. That is the most College Dropout song I have ever heard that wasn't on the College Dropout. Now, for those of you that don't know, that's actually my favorite album, and I knew this song existed, but I never listened to it, and obviously it's from the same time period, so it makes sense. Man, I wasn't expecting that. I mean, produced by Kanye with Jay on the mic. I don't know why I didn't listen to this before. I love the way Kanye uses these really erratic vocal samples. You hear a lot of it on Watch the Throne, but none of them are as good as this. It's so smooth in a really weird kind of way. There's this odd soul to Kanye's production, especially early in his career, and that's honestly what's always drawn me to it. But Jay is literally basking in flames on these verses. It's incredible. I thought the lyrics were really good for honestly one of the first couple times in terms of using cleverness and good subject matter at the same time, and I thought that the hook, the interlude, was just amazing. That is easily one of my favorite songs that I've reacted to, at least in terms of my first listen. Probably I would compare it to Figaro off of Mad Villainy, just in terms of how much I enjoyed it. I don't think these last two songs can compare to Lucifer, but track 13 is going to be Allure. Oh jeez.
Oh.
Wow.
Oh no. I'm like a Russian mafia drinking the spilled vodka. The game into my pulse with no results. And you can treat your nose, still won't come close. The game is a light bulb with 11 big folks.
You know, this really sounds like something that like ASAP Rocky would rap over. Who produced this? The Neptunes. He got the Neptunes. Oh, how does he have these producers? And Pharrell has writing credits. Man, this is something. The back half of this album has really saved it for me. I love a lot of these songs. The synth sounded like, again, something that would be on an ASAP Rocky or even Frank Ocean song. I really liked them though. It kind of added an emphatic sound. I love when Jay backs off the beat in the production and kind of just does a spoken word bit to set up an event or some sort of imagery, and it was done incredibly well. The gunshots on the beat were amazing. Last song, my first song, and then we will give my thoughts on this record as well.
Treat everything like it's your first project. You know?
Is this big?
Like it's your first day, like I wasn't even like, just stay home.
Why you don't stop, y'all wanna know why you don't flop. Let me tell you, people, I came from the bottom of the block. When I was born, it was I don't know. So the front Sean knew I had to get these chips, had to make moves like Elijah Wall. Started out selling dimes and nicks, graduated to a brick, no exaggeration. My infatuation with the strip, legendary like a schoolboy crush on every chick, every shit. That's how schoolboy got whipped and got left on. So just be myself, like I never rode in a limo, like I just dropped flows to a demo, like it's 92 again, man. And I got O's in the rental. Back in the stool again, no problem. It was a whole lot simple when you think back. You thought back, you would never make it this far. Then you take advantage of the love you handed. Got the talent you've been given. Ain't no half seven. The Biggie Smalls.
That was the Black Album, man. Give a shout out to Big.
Nigga, I'm about to go golfing, man.
I have to be honest. I got through like the first 4 or 5 songs. And I was like, man, like people really think this is one of Jay's best albums? But from Moment of Clarity all the way to my first song, that might have been the best track run that I've heard from Jay. Obviously the magnum opus being Public Service Announcement and Lucifer, but a lot of really great songs here. I think this is where Jay really started to transition into a much more laid-back style in terms of his rapping and in terms of his persona. And I don't have a problem with that because I think he does it very well, and I think that on 444 in 2017, his return to form was that much better because of it. But man, I'm just so impressed by the eclectic sounds. I thought they made a really great use of instruments on this album. Not as many samples as I was expecting. Obviously Kanye is bound to use a sample, but the Neptunes did a great job going in tandem with the other producers that Jay had in the studio. I mean, with Just Blaze, the Neptunes, and Kanye West, you are bound to have some great sounding songs, and I thought he did that. In terms of what I think in the grand scheme of things, I actually liked this probably better than The Blueprint, I know, but definitely not better than Reasonable Doubt. My favorite 5 songs from this are definitely going to be Lucifer, Public Service Announcement, Justify My Thug. We'll go with December 4th, and My First Song. Jay, you never cease to impress me, man. I am so glad that I've gotten into your discography. I hope that by now I can call myself a Jay-Z fan. You guys can let me know about that in the comments. But hey, this is going to be close to the closer of my Teenager Reacts to Jay-Z series, and obviously I want to continue this, so I need a couple of artists to get into for their discographies. Give me a few recommendations. Who do you think would be the best ones? I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Thanks so much for joining me. I'd love if you would subscribe. That is, after all, the motivator for these videos. But I won't hound you guys anymore. Thanks for joining me. I sincerely hope you'll join me next time. Happy listening.